My name is Paul Schwartz. I'm the Business Development Manager, and we also have Bart Kragintes, who is the Chief Technology and Program Manager at Runbook, on the call with us today, and we assist our clients and prospects in the North American territory for our organization. In today's webinar, we will be discussing the automation of account reconciliations within SAP. We will do our best to address any questions today. However, if we run out of time, we will follow up with you after the webinar for anything that wasn't addressed. As a global leader, Runbook has many years of industry experience in financial accounting and reporting solutions. We create a partnership with you from start to finish that focuses on an ease of implementation with a dedicated team and a software that maximizes efficiency of processes, accuracy of data, and mitigating risk, making Runbook the preferred solution. We are the only solution who is embedded inside SAP. We were the first to receive the SAP Gold Partner status, achieved by our commitment to developing innovative solutions that improve the financial accounting and reporting processes for the largest organizations in the world. Additionally, we are the only solution with a truly automated close in SAP with Smart Close on HANA and Simple Finance. Now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Bart.
Thank you, Paul, for the introduction. So let's focus a little bit on today, what we're going to do. So the topics for today and the session that we're going to discuss is how to enhance your finance function within SAP, with a special focus on matching and clearing of open item managed accounts, the categorization of leftover line items, and line item management rules based on a template. Paul just already introduced ourselves. So my name is Bart Kragintes. I'm the Chief Technology Manager for Runbook for the North America branch. And what we're going to do today, first of all, I will start off with a short overview of what we do, what are our product lines, and then I will go into the reconciliation process, how you see reconciliation, what are the challenges, and then I'm going to explain a little bit how our automation functionality works to match and clear open items. And at the end of the session, I will dive a little bit into the reporting and which capabilities we have with reporting, either inside SAP, but also outside of SAP. And if you have questions, feel free to enter them in the chat box. So what we do for our customers is the following. Our mission is that we want to provide balance sheet integrity for all SAP customers. We are a company that specializes in technology to automate and streamline the financial close and reporting processes for global corporations. We have 3 products to provide this balance sheet integrity. The one is Smart Close, to manage and structure your financial close process. The other one is Safe Controls, to ensure that your financial reporting controls are executed. And of course, in the middle, our True Reconciliation solution to streamline your reconciliation process. Like Paul already briefly explained, we are a company that works with global companies. We are an SAP Gold Partner. You can find us in the SAP store. All our solutions are embedded into SAP, and all our solutions are embedded in SAP. We are certified for SAP HANA. SAP is now pushing a new technology to market which is called Simple Finance, where you can consolidate or replicate your SAP data as well as non-SAP data. And for mobile technology, we are certified for SAP Fiori. Here are a number of our customers. Our customers are widespread over the different industries. So we have large pharmaceutical companies, we have large manufacturing companies, we're in the utilities industry, so there's a really widespread across industries of our clients. Like I said in my introduction, we offer 3 products: the Smart Close solution, the Safe Control solution, and reconciliation, and the focus for today is reconciliation. The idea behind all of these solutions is that it should be easy to design and easy to implement, focus on exceptions by utilizing the management by exception workflow, and due to the broad client base, we have a good knowledge database and we can offer best practice templates. What sets us apart from other vendors in this area for reconciliation is you don't need to download or duplicate any data because we are integrated in SAP. You have direct access to all SAP data, and you can easily link SAP reports for evidence purposes. This, of course, means that you integrate the reconciliation process as part of your SAP landscape, and that also ensures security and integrity of data. We offer, of course, numerous functionalities in that area. We offer a workflow. We offer the line item automation, which I will explain more into detail later on. We offer at different levels risk management. So, for example, your value at risk, where you can see which portion of the complete balance sheet was explained and which portion of the balance I could not explain. Ease of maintenance. Runbook integrates seamlessly with the SAP Finance master data and structures, and changes are supported by Excel upload. If you are an organization that is structured with shared service centers, you can easily have a good activity split. You have clarity on tasks and instructions, and you can transform into global business services. Runbook also offers, because we're in SAP, and auto consistency checks. The authorization concept is fully in line with SAP, so you don't need to redesign that. And we can support the audit with 2 functionalities. One is the audit within our solution, but also we offer an audit anywhere solution that at any given moment in time you can provide data to the auditor to do the audit. Let's now focus a little bit on the reconciliation process. The way that we have designed our solution and how a lot of companies are using the reconciliation process as such is they have different people that play a different role within the reconciliation process. So we have I will skip the coordinator because he's the one that coordinates the reconciliation for a set of company codes. But if I look really at the process, we have a preparer who can prepare the reconciliation templates for the reconciler, create action items, and in the end, he can submit to the reconciler. The reconciler's job is in the end to complete the reconciliation template, create action items, and if the documentation and the reconciliation is complete, he will then submit to the reviewer. If the reviewer reviews the reconciliation, he then can decide to either create additional action items or review action items. He can review the complete template, and he can either approve or reject the reconciliation. If he rejects, then automatically the reconciler will be informed that he needs to redo his reconciliation or add supporting documentation or any other reason. In the end, if the reviewer is okay with the work that the reconciler has done, he can hand over to an owner, and in the end he does the final review and certification of the reconciliation. So these are the roles within the reconciliation process that we support. The only two roles that are mandatory within our solution is the reconciler and the reviewer. That's our bare minimum. The preparer role can be added, and that can be based on the account item or the GL account that you need to reconcile if you add the preparer, and the same is applicable to the account owner. So this is a little bit about the process. If we now go a little bit more into detail on the execution, in the end, where the reconciliation starts is my account that I need to reconcile. That's the starting point. These are all the accounts across the different company codes that I need to reconcile, either as a reconciler or as a reviewer or as an account owner, depending on the role that you play within your organization. Then I can go a level deeper, and then I'm at the account template, which is in the end the individual GL account. You can then see all the months for which this reconciliation has been performed. If I want to do a specific reconciliation, then you go into the template that is applicable for that specific period. And if I want to go into the smallest details, I go to the account line item tracker, and that is really based on line items. How does it then look from a screen? And I will also show that in a demo. You see a screen that contains a lot of information. The most important thing is, what is the execution status? What accounts are ready to execute? Which GL accounts we're talking about? What is the rating of the reconciliation? So was everything fine? Then the rating becomes green. If there's a difference between the balance and the reconciliation balance, the rating will be red. And I can also, even though there is a difference, I can do a risk rating, and then the status will turn into yellow. We also see the process status directly, in which status is this GL account from a reconciliation point of view. We can see the balance coming out of SAP, in which currency the balance is. We can see what portion of the balance we already explained, and in case that there is a difference, so like for this account there is a difference because nothing has happened yet, then you have an unassigned balance and an unmanaged value at risk of 340,000 Indian rupees. If I then go into the template, in one overview I can see what has happened within that template. I can see, for example, that this template is closed. I can see who signed off on it as a reconciler or reviewer, and if there wasn't a risk assessment, I could see the risk assessment details. Next to that, I can also see all the action items that were created for this GL account. And action items you should consider as things that I need to do in order to complete the reconciliation. Either I can do it in this period, but I can also do it in the following periods. When I use the tracker, the balance tracker, I can see all the different categories that may apply to a certain account. So in this example, we have an aging account. I can see, okay, what is the value of the line items that belong to a certain tracker category? What is the number of debit, the number of credit? What is the balance? How many documents do we have? And if there is a value at risk. At the bottom, you can see the line items that not yet have been assigned to a category. So that's my work list, that's my to-do list. The moment I am going to work on my to-do list, there are a number of functions available. One of them, if I need to clear line items, there's an integrated clearing functionality. I can add on each and every single line item, I can add a comment. So what we normally see in Excel, that people make comments on line items, you can do that directly in the tool.
Bart,
Another option is, yes?
we have a question here. Can you
Sure.
explain what embedded means in more detail?
What embedded means, and I will also show that during the demo, is that the moment I log into my SAP, I can access Runbook. So that means that I need to go into SAP, and then Runbook is available. It's just it needs to be considered as just another SAP module.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question. I can have what I was a little bit more explaining. What I can also have, I can have additional attributes to line items in order to categorize line items in a more efficient way. That's the functionality that we have for line items. With action management, so if I need to action certain things within the reconciliation process, I can create an action and I can assign that to what we call an action holder. So he then gets an email that he has to perform a certain action, and we can assign a value to that action, and we can see if the action is open or closed. And next to that, we have some specific attributes that you can assign to action items. And on the other side, on the right side of the screen, you can see all the action items assigned to this template or to this account. If I now go a little bit more into automation, there are several types of automation. So we have on one side we have the auto certification options that we have. But with this automation, we mean the automation of matching and clearing and the automation of line item management. What you can do with automation for clearing and also for auto tracking is every account that is either open item managed or that has line item display switch on, you can use this functionality. What this functionality will do, based on certain rules, it will say, it will categorize the line items. So for example, if a document is already cleared, you don't want to clear that again. So if it's cleared in the future, it will have a clearing document, and then you want to, based on a rule, you want to put it in the category, okay, this is clear in the future, so there's a timing classification. Then the ones that are not cleared, you want to say, okay, based on a matching criteria, such as the assignment field, which is available, I want to match line items based on the assignment, and then I want to see if they net to 0. If they net to 0, you can auto clear them. And then they will disappear, of course, out of your work list, because everything that has been cleared you don't want to have a look at. And then you can go a step further, where you say, okay, if it doesn't net to 0 based on the assignment field, but it's within a certain tolerance, then you can say, okay, that's a proposal for clearing within the tolerance, and a person decides, do I want to clear or not? And then, if you cannot clear, then you can have, for example, aging, where you can say, okay, it's okay, it doesn't need to be cleared because it falls within the certain limits that we define as a company, and then it can go into a category. Or if you say it does not meet the criteria that we have within the company for clearing, it goes into a different category. I will explain this more into detail when I do the demo, how that will work.
Bart, we have another question.
Sure.
Is Runbook an SAP exclusive solution, or is it an independent software solution that SAP has selected to incorporate into its ERP suite?
So Runbook is an independent solution. That means that we are not an SAP, not part of SAP. Our solution is mainly used in SAP, but if you have next to SAP some other ERP systems, like for example JDE, with the new functionality that SAP is offering, the simple finance, you can then replicate the data out of your non-SAP systems into a centralized SAP system, and then you can use our solution. I hope this answers the question.
Yes, thank you, Bart. And we have another question as well. I'm assuming company codes can be set up differently?
From a reconciliation point of view, you have the full flexibility. So what we often see in the market, reconciliation is a time-consuming process, and they want to keep how they reconcile. They want to keep as standard as possible. However, for some say smaller companies within a big company, you don't want to have an account reconciled on a monthly basis, but only on a quarterly basis. So we offer, of course, full flexibility to support that. Thank you, Bart. You're welcome. So coming back to the auto clearing, auto tracking, the moment that you use this functionality, your line items will be categorized and sorted based on the rules that you have defined. And that's also something I will show in the demonstration. So let's now go into the demonstration. So what I will do is I will now log in to our SAP system. And this is also what I mean with embedded. I need to have SAP in the end to use this solution, or I need to have simple finance in place to use this solution. I will first log in with a user that is a reconciler. And because we're now in a live SAP system, Runbook is embedded in SAP. That means we also have own transaction codes to start our solution. For today, I'm going to focus on the execution and on the automation of the execution, and I will also end with a small portion of reporting that is available. So, as a reconciler, I can have my accounts. And I already pre-populated some fields, so I am going to reconcile for fiscal year 2014, for period 14, and I'm going to reconcile for a specific company code. Because we're in SAP, you can create variants, how you want to, what you want to see and what you want to fill out. So these are all the accounts that I need to reconcile. And you can see these are GL accounts, some are bank, some are AR, some are AP, output tax, input tax. You can see the rating. Since I have not started, the rating is still red. I can see attachments that were carried forward from last period. I can see action items that were created in previous periods. But now the interesting part is I can see a balance. So that's the actual balance on the GL account. I see the portion of the balance that is unassigned. And in the end, I can also see the reconciliation balance. If I now go into the AR domestic, so that's accounts receivable, what do I see here? I can see the opening balance of the account. I can see the total debit postings, the total amount of credit postings. I can see the balance. I can even click click on this balance. And then you see the standard customer line item report from SAP. So I'm still here in SAP, and if I want to see more about a posting, I just can click on it. I can do in SAP, and I can see the individual posting. So in order to do a reconciliation, I have all information available. I can here also include a purpose of account. So what is the type of, what is this account for, what are the postings, so those things you can fully integrate. Well, let's now go into the tracker. And the tracker is nothing more than a list of all the line items. As you can see here at the bottom, these are all the line items that need to go into a category. So before you start your reconciliation process, this is what you have. If I now going to use our automated matching and clearing, what you will see is that by defining a rule based on aging, we will put all the line items into certain aging categories. So if I run the rule, this list will be completely assigned to tracked line items. So everything that's in here will be moved into tracked.
All right, we have another question here.
Sure.
When you say cleared open item, does it just clear in the recon, or does it also clear in the GL balance history due to the matching of the amounts?
So what clearing means, it does not clear in the reconciliation. What it does, it will actually create clearing documents in SAP. So if you, for example, if you're familiar with F-13, which is the automatic clearing in SAP, that will create clearing documents. Runbook leverages that functionality. The only thing that we add to that is that we can have more than 3 matching criteria. And of course, when the document is cleared, it disappears in my to-do list. Does that answer the question?
Yes, I think so. Thank you.
So I will first do a test run what the rule engine can do. And this is something you can, of course, fully automate, run this program in the background. But let's first have a look. So if I click on execute, it will read all the line items that you saw in the previous screen, and it will say, okay, out of the huge list of line items, it will move 58 lines in the category between 0 and 30 days. It will move 30 lines from the 30 to 60. It will move 30 lines from 60 to 90 days. And it will move 9 lines to between 90 and 20 days. And then we also have something that's over 120 days. So if I now remove the test flag, it will automatically put the line items into the categories.
Bart, I think you may have already answered this, but
so now this is the log that does the work. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you've already answered this, but can this solution perform one-to-many line item matches or many-to-many line item matches based on specific criteria?
Yeah, so standard SAP can say standard SAP clearing can handle up to 3 matching criteria. We can have many criteria, so we're not limited to 3. And the matching criteria that you can use, they are all based on all the fields available in a normal GL posting or an AP posting or an AR posting. Does that answer the question?
Yes, I believe so, Bart.
Let's run it open for that area. So what you now see is, because I already pre-populated the categories, I put the line item into certain categories. You can see that my rating has changed from red to green. Why is that? Because my cumulative balance and my reconciliation balance 100% match. If I now go in there, in that specific template, you can see still that here now, first it was empty, now there's a reconciliation balance. If I go into the tracker, you can see all the different categories that I explained when I ran the rule engine. So if I go into this category, I just can select it or double click on it, and it will show me all the line items that belong to this category. And I can, if I want to, I can add comments. I can add a snooze date so that I don't look at it until it moves to the next category. So this is all the line items that belong to this category. And I can also look into a different category. And if I think that a certain line item does not belong here, I can just move it to a different category. What also is important to know is that when a certain line item is for this month in the, say, the 0 to 30, for the next month it will automatically move to the next tracker category. So that it will automatically move based on the aging to a different category, and your history will be stored. Of course, this is only a small portion of the reconciliation. Like I said, you can make comments on individual line items, but you can also add attachments for supporting documentation. It's very simple. If you have supporting documentation, which is mainly Excel-based or PDF-based, you can click on Assign. You can create an attachment. And I will just pick an example. So this is an Excel file. I just can add it to it. This document now will be stored in an optical archive, like, for example, OpenText. So all your data that you save to support your documentation is securely stored in a central repository that saves the data. With that being said, now I have attached the document. I can have a description. Which can be, of course, free text. And also, a good functionality is that I can carry forward the attachment. So next month, I will still see this attachment, and I can still work on it. I can change the attachment, and then a new document will be stored. So it's not that I need to attach the same document again each and every single month. Of course, you can decide to switch it off for this document. If I now say, okay, let's have another attachment. So I can have, for each and every tracker category, I can have a separate attachment. That's one way of doing this. Then I have several attachments per tracker category. If I go one step back, also here I have the attachments. I can also attach documentation for, of course, the whole template. So, and
Bart, let me
for
jump in
example, a
here.
PDF file.
We have another question here.
Sure.
Will the solution work with SAP's IS Oil PRA module, which has a separate detailed subledger, and GL, which only brings in summary information into FIGL?
Well, yeah, if as long as it's SAP, it will work. What do I mean with that? If the data is stored in SAP, we can, because it's in SAP, we can retrieve it, we can use that information. And we can use that information to do the reconciliation. So I hope that answered the question. In the meantime, when I answer that question, I also attach another document, and you can see the difference. These documents are specific for a tracker category, so for a certain subset of line items, and this is an overall attachment. But it's available. What's also nice to mention is sometimes for your supporting documentation, you run not only, you don't look at the on the customer line item, you don't only look at the GL line item report, but maybe you need to run a different report as well. By just simply clicking on the transaction, and I can say, okay, it's a company code. I can run the report. I can now, in the end, print this to the archive and store that as a document. So I can also run other reports which are then automatically connected to the reconciliation. And then if I'm not that patient, then I can automatically attach it. So I now have my supporting documentation. I have explained my balance. And like I said in the beginning, the creation or the assignment of the line items was done automatically as part of the reconciliation process, so nobody needed to touch the individual line items. And now I can submit my reconciliation, and now it's passed on to the reviewer. And in the note, I can see what has happened. So this user, at this moment in time, submitted it from reconcile to reviewer. For the GL open item clearing, it's in theory it's the same example, where I also have oh, I didn't want to do that. Open items. I can go into the tracker and you will see that there are already some line items assigned, but there are also some line items that are not assigned. Here I can also run the balance tracker, and then the the line items will be assigned to certain categories. And if needed, they will be cleared. So let's do that in a separate session. I think it was quicker if I did it in one session. And now I'm going to run it for a different account. First we'll do a test run to show you how it will look like. And also here it will move the line items into several categories. So now I remove the test flag. So this is something that a preparer can do as part of the reconciliation process. That's not something a reconciler necessarily needs to do. And you can also run it completely in the background so that there's no manual work needed. I'll now go into my accounts again. You will see everything has been assigned. The rating is green. And now I can say, okay, I want to, because we also have a mass submit functionality, I can say mass submit, mass approve. If you do a mass submit, you can have a text entered, mass submit, and that will then be added to all the GL accounts that were mass submitted. You can also see that here in the note. You can directly see that it was submitted, and with this reason, because of mass submit. So that's the work of a reconciler, where he can already leverage the matching and clearing, putting line items into categories. If I now look at what the approver does, or the reviewer in our terminology, I'll go log in with a different user.
Bart, we have a quick question here.
Sure.
Are you able to build custom reports based on any field within the reconciliation?
Custom reports, did I hear that correctly?
Yes, yes. Are you able to build custom reports based on any field within the reconciliation? Additionally, is there any automatic scheduling emailing capability to auto-send to recipients?
Yes. So for the custom reports, if we were talking about SAP reports that you custom build, then of course, because it's SAP, we can integrate that in our reconciliation solution. If we're looking at dashboarding, we have a number of dashboards available, but I will show two of them, and then you will see the selection fields that we can have for reconciliation. So I'm going to park that question a little bit and answer that a little bit later when I touch the reporting.
Okay.
For the emails, of course, we can send emails. I can also explain that a little as part of the master data.
Okay. Can you show a reconciliation of an account that is not open item managed?
I can definitely show that. Shall I first? I will first finish, say, the process of these two account items. And then I'm going back as a reconciler, and then I will show you a non-open item managed account.
Thank you, Bart.
So as a reviewer, I also have my accounts that I need to review, and only the ones that have this symbol are ready for execution. The other ones are all in display mode, or I don't play a role in that reconciliation. So if I now go into this reconciliation that I just prepared as a reconciler, I can see the comments. I can have a look at the attachments. I can go into the tracker and look at the line items assigned to the different categories. And I have the same information available as the reconciler has. I can have a look at the attachment, of course, but if I agree with what the reconciler has done, I can go to status and assessment and say I want to approve this reconciliation. There is a configuration setting that is an option that the moment the reviewer approves, he needs to re-enter his SAP password. This is not required. It's just an option that we offer. And now the template has been submitted to closed. And that will look like this. I have, of course, the opportunity to reopen a reconciliation, I can do that at any given time. However, also there, I need to give a reason for reopening. And in the note, you can track, say, the audit trail, what has happened.
And we have a question on
Now
this.
coming back to, sure.
Sorry for interrupting. Can there be multiple approvers per company code? Also, can you assign a frequency of account performance by company code? An example, monthly, quarterly, etc.
Yeah. Shall I first answer this question and then come back to the question with if there are, because that will also answer probably the question about other types of reconciliation. So,
Okay. Thank you.
let me go to period 4. I will just now pick an account item as an example. So, based on this account item, which is it's a GL reconciliation account for accounts receivable, I have a responsibility group, and within the responsibility group, if I look here, I can have for a certain area, so for a certain company code, I can have different reconcilers, different reviewers based on the company code. And I cannot only have one reconciler for a specific account for a specific area, because I can also have multiple. If I go in here in the account item detail, I can decide if it's a single reconciliation, so based on one GL account, or it's a group reconciliation. I can define a risk level of the account, if it's low, medium, or high, when this reconciliation is done. If I want to send out mails, so emails, so there are a few options. You can send it in the background when I submit from a reconciler to the reviewer, or if as the reviewer I will reject, I can also send a mail in the background or with a pop-up, so I can modify the mail. Next to that, I can determine if I need to reconcile the account on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on a yearly basis, or, for example, every second month of a quarter, or every first month of a quarter. Those are all options that we offer. If I look at the types of reconciliation, so this is an open line item managed account. If I go out of this one and just remove this, there are several options. Let's see that we don't have. So we also, for this, for example, for accounts payable, we said we still want to do the tracking, but we do not want to do it based on line items. I just want to divide the balance of the account into several portions. So I have a portion that is related to a certain product, or a certain or any other criteria. This is the manual tracking, where I just divide the amount of the balance into several categories. That's one option. The other option is that if I look at accruals, for example, or amortization, and I say I have an accrual schedule or amortization schedule, and I just upload the balances that I have in Excel, and we check if that matches with the balance in SAP. That's another option. That's with Excel. If I switch the Excel off, then I can also just key in the balance. So that's what we call manual entry, and you can do that on total level. So if I have a group of accounts, and I say I only key in the balance for all those accounts, or I can key it in for each and every single item. Let's not change this one. And how does it then look like in the reconciliation? I hope I have that one in here. I don't think I have an example that, well, this should be. So this is, say, an accounts payable example where I don't have the line items. I still have the tracker, where I can go into the balance and say, this one, for this period, it is actually line item tracked. Let me see if I can find another example. I think this is also a line item track. So I don't have an example now on the fly ready that doesn't have line items. So I'm sorry I cannot show that at the moment. Are there any other questions on the execution of the process, Paul, before I go into reporting?
Not at this moment, Bart. We are kind of running low on time here, so what we will do is reach out to those that have process questions after the webinar.
Sure. Okay. I'm now going to show one of the reports that is good to use, and that's a reconciliation status per responsibility group. So as you know, because I showed you that you can have GL accounts are assigned to responsibility groups, and within the responsibility groups you have the users. If you want to see, for example, for a certain period, for a certain company code, how many templates do we have per responsibility group, you can run this report. You can see, okay, for bank accounts, they have 2 templates, of which 2 are signed off, which is 100%. Well, as you can see, everything has been signed off. You can also have this in a pie chart. And also here you will see that everything has been signed off, of course. If you say, okay, this is sign off, not signed off, that's too high level, you can also have the option, and I will now pick a different example, to say, show me the status, the individual statuses. So here for accounts receivable, I only have 1 template, which is closed, which is in the end signed off, so that's 100%. If I look at clearing, I have 2. Oh, I have 1, sorry, and it's in reviewer status. And if I then run the report, it looks a little bit different. So you can see that 10% is in review status, 10% is closed, 10% is reconciliation status, and 70% hasn't been touched. So this is one of the examples that we offer in reporting. If I go a little bit more into the reporting, we have different other reports available. The one below I just showed, where you can see actually the status per responsibility group level. I can also see I have a report that shows you the balances and the rating for a certain company code over a certain set of accounts. Or I have what we call the action item manager report. So every time I need to do something in order to complete the reconciliation, so like a reclassification or a reposting, I can create action items. And they all get a due date. And with this report, I can clearly see which action items were picked up within time and which action items were not picked up in time. Where you can also, of course, you build your own reporting in BW or in HTML5, or if you're going towards Lumira, because everything is stored in SAP tables, and it's easy to retrieve the information in the SAP tables to build your own KPI reporting for reconciliation. So this is not something that we deliver, but we at least deliver the data to enable you to build those reports. And as key points to take home, what is the added value of Runbook? With the automation functionalities that we offer, you can reduce process costs, process risks, and of course eliminate manual activities that you do today. You can harmonize your account reconciliations. You have audit trail because everything you do within the solution is logged with a timestamp. And of course, because we're embedded in SAP, you can improve your data integrity and accuracy. And the main features, if we need to divide it, is more process transparency, the usability of the tool. Because it's SAP, it's very easy to use. The solution is very flexible. You customize it as the way you want to have it. You can. It ensures financial reporting agility. There's autonomy. So roles are based on SAP SOD, so segregation of duties, preventing conflict of interest. You own your own data, which if you look for a solution that's not based in SAP, who owns the financial data? It is 100% integrated within SAP. And of course, we have a solid expertise in SAP financials and a good track record, and we work together with global partners. Are there at this point any questions?
Yes, Bart, we have one question.
Sure.
How do we compare to Blackline?
So if I compare Runbook with a solution as Blackline is a solution that is not part of your SAP system. So you need to retrieve the data out of SAP into a web-based solution. That has some risks associated with it, because if you look at a vendor-hosted system, then it's 9 or 10 times cloud-based. Who has the ownership of the data? If you look at the authorization within Blackline, you need to, of course, define again an authorization concept within Runbook. Because it's in SAP, it is in line with the SAP authorization. With Blackline, you're not looking at real live data because it's not real life. There needs to be an interface that pulls the data. Within our solution, because you're in SAP, you're looking at the actual balances, at the actual line item at that specific moment. If you look at some things like matching and clearing, Blackline, of course, also offers matching and clearing, but that's within the solution. It never gets pushed back to SAP. So when we do matching and clearing, it is within SAP, and if I clear, I have actual clearing documents in SAP. So these are, say, the highlights of, say, from a functional point of view. There are also some challenges around IT that we see in the market, because if I push data out of SAP, what happens when Blackline all of a sudden is not reachable anymore? So what happens with business continuity, backup procedures, recovery? That within our solution, because we're part of your existing SAP landscape, that is all governed by your SAP application. And those are, say, the main features where we differentiate from solutions like Blackline. So, yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yes, Bart. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Not at this time. What we will do is we'll follow up with those we weren't able to cover. We're running a few minutes over the allotted time. We respectfully want to give everybody back their day, obviously. So we'll be contacting you within the next few days to follow up with any questions that we weren't able to cover this afternoon.
Okay. Then I would like to thank everybody for their time. I hope you found the session informative, and I hope to see you at our next webinar next month. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Bart. Thank you, everyone.